Welcome back to Into the Light, a different life story. My show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Today, I'm excited. I've got a new guest with me. I've got Scott Spears with me. Scott Spears is a fellow traveler who, in this case, is a real traveler. He really likes to be around this world. And he's a man who is getting easily bored. So he likes to learn. And as that, the moment he said that, I knew we are sort of brothers. We need to check in our ancestry. There's somewhere a common denominator there. And Scott is a man who has learned to really unlock time, to organize life, to really connect with himself. And that is a superpower that not many of us get really the hang of. So therefore, I knew that I had to have this guy on my show. So Scott, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Stefan. Thanks so much for having me.
How the hell did you gain this superpower? And there is not one. Well, I woke up one morning and no, it doesn't work like that. So were you always organized as a young boy, or were you straightforward? Yeah, mom and dad, I made you breakfast and I'm going to school now. Don't forget to get up.
No, definitely not. It started with my mom. They would leave for work in the morning and I would have a list every morning sitting on the floor, basically.
The moment we started the interview, your audio disappeared. Your audio, that's right. Try that again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Same thing. It is like a machine gun going off in the background.
Let me turn this off and reset it. How do I hear without the microphone?
Right now the sound has completely changed. You're back on. Say a few words.
How's the quality?
Now much better. Now you're back to ideal.
Do you like it better this way or when I have the headset working?
That's interesting. So at the moment the headset is not working and you're coming through. So the sound is coming through your computer, isn't it? And right. The microphone
so which one do you prefer? I can use this or use the computer.
Try the other one again.
Sure. Okay, it says it's connected now. How does that sound?
Say again, say 3 sentences.
It's connected now. How does that sound? A little bit better?
No, unfortunately, we need to go back to the computer. Something has changed. We are getting... So where's your microphone now?
Yeah, I'm using the computer microphone now. How's that?
It's actually not bad, I have to say. It's not bad at all.
Okay.
We have changed the position of the screen now a little bit. Yeah, that's it. You saw just that little angle there. So now that's nice. Now we've got shadows balancing you. That's actually not bad at all. That's not bad at all.
Okay, cool. So I'm good like this if you are.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So we've done the introduction, and I'll restart. What we'll do is, what did I say? You
were asking if I was always this organized.
That is correct. That is correct. Are you happy to answer? Are you happy to answer from that? Okay.
I can start from there. Yeah, not a problem.
5 seconds. So sound clap, and then you answer from there.
Okay. No, I wasn't always this organized. In fact, every morning my mom and dad would go to work and there would be a list sitting on the floor for me to accomplish before the day was over. And that's of course if I wasn't going to school, but even if I was coming home from school, there would be a list of, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And that also carried over in my own life as I grew older and said, okay, all right, the best way to stay organized is to write a list. But no, I was not always organized personally. At work, I was super organized. Being in the military, obviously you have to be organized. You got to have everything in order or not going to be having a very favorable day. When I got out of the military, I went into IT, telecom, working in Silicon Valley. And that's where I started moving from engineering into project management, not by choice, but yeah, so I kind of went in that direction and started to learn project management. And that's when I ventured into global consulting, actually handling global and regional projects. And being those sizable projects, you really have to have your time and resources, everything organized. But when I would get off of work, no, I would be so tired of being organized. I would come home and all right, one shoe over there, one shoe over there. And it was part of like what I was telling you earlier before we started the interview. I need a little managed chaos in my life. And that was my form of a little managed chaos. So, but no, after a few different lifetimes in this one life, where I am now, I had to figure out when my employment contract expired, working globally and bouncing around all over the place. It's like, okay, what do I want to do now? And I had to look and see, what am I good at? And I'm really damn good at organizing and time management. So I started building my consultancy around those two subjects for personal and business. So that's what I'm doing now.
Which is beautiful. And it's amazing that you admit to that bit of a yin and yang within yourself, that there are these two people, that one is rebelling against the other, and both of them have got a place in you. You need to talk to my wife, because I'm like you at work, tong, 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 very clear, and I thrive in chaos to a certain degree, like you. And then at home, yeah, my shoes could be anywhere. So how amazing. I've never looked at it positively. I saw it always as a little bit of a failure, as a little bit of something negative. And it's nice how you actually turned that around and said, actually, I give myself permission to be that person. Because that's actually part of me. Now that is bloody insightful and good. I like that. No, good on you. Good on you. So the lists were always sort of part of your thing. But sometimes lists, oh God, I was the master of lists, but my lists were so big that it was impossible for me, with hindsight, to actually even accomplish a fraction of it. So inevitably, therefore, at the end of the day, I was a failure in my eyes, because I actually had so many things that I wanted to get done. Had I put just some common sense to it, I would have known if I have achieved two of them, then hell. Was there ever a time like that in your life where you...
Oh, totally. Yeah, it was only recently when I started looking at, again, okay, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to share what I know to people that can help people in their lives? And one lesson I had to learn was, okay, yeah, this whole list building, I'm Superman at work. Yeah, I can accomplish everything. But like I said, when I get home, I don't want to do everything that's on my list. But I might do the unfortunate writing 50 to 100 things down. Like, okay, I'm gonna carry this over from work, and when I get home, I'm gonna do all of this, and knowing I'm not gonna do all of that. So I had to learn how to just be honest with myself and write down really only 3 to 5 things that I wanted to accomplish in a day for me. And by doing that, I learned about my own time management. I knew my time management at work. I knew I can clean the plate every day and get everything done. I really didn't have a choice sometimes. I just had to get it all done. But when I got home, if I wrote down, let's say 20 things, and I'm only going to pick 3 to 5 things that I really want to do, right? The other things are going to go into what I call a procrastination bucket. And that's what I teach my clients now. And I call it a procrastination bucket because I'm going to do the same thing the next day. These are tasks that I really don't want to touch. They're not going to be enjoyable things in my life that I got to do. And I would just every day put those aside, and they go into that procrastination bucket until, like you mentioned, you start feeling like a failure if you don't accomplish that whole list. But if I push those off to the side, and it's like, oh, I'll handle that later, until they come back and bite you in the ass, right? So to answer your question, I would do these lists, but I had to learn how to do my own time management. And that's what I'm trying to teach people is how to handle their own personal time management, making time for themselves. And at the end of the day, where you do have to look back and say, okay, what did I get done? Be kind to yourself. And maybe you didn't accomplish 5 things that you wrote down, but you accomplished 3. You still have progress, and you need to be kind to yourself because you are learning about what you can handle. So and time management to me is the foundation of all self-development, because a lot of us want to, improve ourselves, take different classes, exercise, etc. That's great. We keep it up here and we want to. But if we don't make time to actually do it, then we're just fooling ourselves. So if you learn how to manage your time, then you have more control in your life.
And I like the principle of what you're doing a lot. I would rephrase it for myself. It's not time management. It is task management, or it is vision and dream management. Because in order to not procrastinate, you need to know what is actually important for yourself. Now, if you actually don't rank these 20 million tasks a day and actually say, what is really important for you, then you will inevitably, life will throw you this way, that way, and the day is finished and you think, what the hell have I done? What have I achieved? You achieved a hell of a lot, but these are little things and not necessarily things that are really important for your progress and your vision and your dream. So therefore you're dissatisfied, and then it's 10 o'clock, let's have a cheesecake. Because that's often enough my life. Hand up, that's me. Okay. And it is a skill to actually put the brakes on and just say, stop now, and actually think what is really important to you. What brought
Stefan, you hit the nail on the head with the prioritization, because that's the big step. A lot of people will, like I mentioned, we'll write down this list and we'll just start from 1 to 10, whatever order they're in, and you don't really prioritize. And that's something that I help. We have this puzzle up here. And when we're kids and learn how to put together a puzzle, what do? We get all the straight edges out, right? We know that's going to be the frame. We have a picture that we're looking at that this puzzle must match. But the problem is now these days is we try to keep everything up here. And we have more these days than we did back in the past when we were growing up, obviously. So what I try to help people do is this what I call this a mind storm, and dump it all out, write everything out. And then we have to prioritize that. What's important to you? What's really important to you? And what is going to get you to the point where you want to be in life? And that's when you start putting this puzzle together. Then you start seeing the picture of your life and start putting these pieces of puzzle together. And then you have a plan to start going off of. So that's where I take my project management experience and apply it to my personal life and others, in helping them get their lives organized and such.
And that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? When you suddenly take the time to step out of the rat race and begin to dream, and then turn that dream into a vision and then into a mission, and suddenly you have no idea how far you can come in a relatively short period of time because you actually focus on what matters really to you in your life. Most people, I dare to say, I would say 95% of people I meet don't really have that focus. They are just running around, like sometimes like sheep, sometimes like a pack of wolves, and just everything. Oh, look, shiny. Oh, there. Oh, ooh. And it's just, oh my goodness, yeah. So that's there's your skill is a super skill. It's a superpower, yeah, truly. What catalyzed you to become or to get that insight? There is, whilst you said yourself, you were really, really good in that for others or for the person that you were at work. And then at home, it was the dump. What changed? Because at one stage you changed, you applied that to your own life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here now. What was that moment? Or were there a number of moments?
Yeah, there was actually a number of moments. Wow. It was my own personal journey. Right before the pandemic actually started, I fell into a very deep depression. 4 years before that depression, I actually died from burnout. And that kind of, shook me, but it wasn't the wake up call that anyone would expect it to be for me, actually. Dying from burnout, coming back from that, I purely focused on my physical being because I'm like, okay, well, shit, I died. That's obviously something wrong with my brain or my nervous system or my heart, something physical. And for the next 3 years, I just focused on my physical being. I went to nutritionists. I took all these tests. I took the heart test, brain test, everything. But I failed to look at my mental state. I wasn't happy. And that is what really started slowly spiraling me into a depression that I didn't even realize was happening because I didn't change anything after that. Before the burnout and near-death experience, I was in great shape. I was eating proper foods. I was exercising. I was doing these Spartan obstacle races as much as possible. And I felt good. But I started, before the burnout, I started to lose energy. And I just attributed that to age. And and then I started fighting with myself, like, all right, you just need to go to the gym a little bit earlier and put in some more reps. And, you're not going to slip. I've always been physically active, loving sports and doing everything like that. But the energy wasn't really related to anything physical. It was purely mental. And it was because I wasn't enjoying my job. The relationship I was in was not really going anywhere. I wasn't happy with that. And I didn't have any goals. I was just going through the motions, as you were saying earlier. I was a stagnant point in my life. I wasn't really working towards anything. So the next 3 years, by not changing any of those things and focusing purely on my physical state, I went into this depression. And right before the pandemic, I had what I call a tsunami of shit in 1 week. And this is in 1 week's time, everything that happened. My relationship ended. I was heartbroken because of that. My employment contract expired. I knew that was going to happen, but I wasn't used to going from 100 miles an hour to zero all of a sudden. I didn't know how to handle that. I tried to prepare myself, but I just was never in that situation. So it was really tough. I was diagnosed with PTSD because I was having anxiety attacks from the near-death experience. And I was struggling with that time to time for those next 3 years. And a few other things that happened in my life, military time and a few other almost near-death experiences. And my daughter's college education fund was stolen. So a lot of things happened in 1 week, and it just felt like this tsunami pulled me under. And I just fell into that deep depression. So I tried to fix myself at home, but I was comfortable. I was staying in my apartment. Everything was familiar around me. So one day, this is after about a month, I get out of the shower and I look at myself in the mirror, and I didn't recognize myself. I weighed myself. I found I lost 30 pounds. I think that's about 15 kilos. And I just had a conversation with myself, like, dude, you need help. You need help. And that's when I realized, okay, I got to get out of here. So I went to India, and I can go into that if you want, but I learned a couple of very valuable lessons in India. I did a Vipassana meditation where I learned mind over matter, basically. And I also learned the law of impermanence, how things are not always the same, and how to detach. So taking those two lessons, I felt enlightened. I came back to Colombia, where I'm living now, and had to face the music. I didn't really want to leave here because I really super enjoying all the valuable lessons I was learning there. But I knew I had to face the music. I had to face my life and take what I learned in India and prior into my life and start applying those lessons. So I got back here to Colombia, and I had to figure out, all right, I'm not working. What am I going to do? Am I going to stay here? Am I going to go back to California? And that's when the pandemic really kicked off. So I found a cabin in the mountains here, and that's where I decided to hunker down and see how long this pandemic was going to continue. By doing that, I did another Vipassana meditation about 6 months after that on my own in that cabin. And Vipassana meditation is basically 10 days where you disconnect from everything. You get rid of your phone, your laptop, books, your watch, and you don't talk. And you just meditate for about 8 hours a day, about an hour at each time. And when you do that, you really start understanding yourself, because it's like you put your life on pause, and you never do that when you're growing up. We never do that. We'll take our cars to go get maintenance, get the oil change and, everything, get the fluids and check the brakes, but we won't do that to ourselves. Even if we go on vacation, we're going to go on vacation, sure. But hey, let's go to this beach here. I'm going to have pina colada, whatever. But you never really take that time to look in. And that's what I did. And that's when I started understanding what I want to do and why I want to go in this direction with helping people. So by helping people, I realized I wanted to help people, but I said, okay, help them with what? And that's when I started looking and say, what am I good at? And that's when I started putting this, okay, I'm really good at time management and organizing things. And then I had to do it to myself first. And I'm the test subject number one, right? I'm the vial number one. Let's see what happens. And when I started doing that, everything started falling in place. I was moving in a direction that I believed in because I was able to connect to myself. And by doing that, by moving, things just started to fall into place. And I was able to take everything that I had up here, put it down, and start helping people with it.
Beautiful. And isn't it amazing? Because the way you described it was actually very enlightened, so to speak, when it comes to your meditation, because you actually, it is not just sitting around somehow, but you actually made a lot of action steps to put yourself first. You switched off everything. You made room, you made space and said, sorry guys, I will not be available for you now, and switched off everything. So you took actually action. This is not just, maybe we could, Yeah, why don't I give it a shot? No, you made a contract with yourself. You actually discussed with yourself, actually, I want to get better. I want to figure out what the hell is going on really, and where is my life going? And as you say, this is not just a 15-minute in the shower or 15-minute in the spa or in the sauna, where you normally try to switch off. And even then, often people keep themselves occupied one way or the other. Now you actually really gave your brain time to detox from all the crap to start off with. And that takes a bit of time. Any detox doesn't happen, bing, and suddenly all the good ideas come. So it's amazing to actually say, okay, 8-10 days of that. Now that actually makes a lot of sense to me now. And it's something I realize I have not done since rehab, so to speak. I went 7 years ago, I went into rehab where I was given the chance to put my normal life on hold. And I was asked the questions that made me think. So 7 years have passed, and whilst I've made huge progress in my life, I'm laughing here because of the changes that I put into action. I just wonder what was to happen. Was I to do what you did, and where that now then propels me? Because, we are all on a path. Who knows what is around the next bend, the next corner? And the only way you can figure that out is by actually putting in the hard work of actually pressing the pause button and really redefining for yourself, who do you want to be? Not what, not any kind of labels you put on yourself, but who is the woman, the man, the being in you that wants to come out. And this is a powerful thing you did there, my man. Very powerful.
It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
We go through most of our lives immersed in everything besides ourselves. Yeah, I mean, especially now, you look at everybody looking at their phones anywhere you go. They're totally immersed in whatever they're looking at on their phone, on their computer, on the TV. It's even hard to have good conversations these days, just to sit down without being distracted and have a conversation. Because people are wondering, okay, there's something else going on. There's something else going on. Like they're going to miss something. Right. And I used to be like that. Still, sometimes I have to catch myself and say, okay, I'm going to sit down and eat. I don't need to have my phone next to me. I'm going to concentrate on the meal in front of me and be mindful of the taste. Where did it come from? Everything about it. And that's where learning, going through this journey, having that experience of being enlightened and disconnecting from everything is truly the most enlightening experience I've ever had. And that's why I'm so passionate to get others on their path. I mean, of course, I can't show them I can show them how to find their path. That's it. But I can't walk it for them. And that's what happened to me when I looked in that mirror and didn't recognize myself. I had to say to myself, number one, I need help. I need help. Obviously, what I'm doing is not working. And I'm going to have to seek some external force or education, teacher, coach, what have you, to get that knowledge, to get me on the path that I need to walk. They're not going to walk it for me, but I need to do it. And those lessons that I've learned since that depression, and I'm so grateful for that depression these days, because if that didn't happen, I'd still probably be in a stagnant lifestyle. I would never have learned about this self-maintenance that is something that we should all require. None of us want to do it, because why? It's going to take time. You don't ever want to take your car to go get maintained. You don't want to get the oil change. Why? It's going to take, an hour out of my day. I don't want to go do that. I got more important things to do. But the same thing with yourself. You really need to learn how to maintain yourself and take that time. You had the experience 7 years ago, and then you had that enlightenment by disconnecting and giving time to yourself. And then it comes time. The other hard part is scheduling when you're going to do it again.
Exactly.
And that's a promise I made to myself when I first did that in India. Afterwards, I was just like, once a year, I have to do this once a year. 10 days out of my life, once a year, I got to do it.
Very nice. Very nice. There are many ways. For some of the viewers, they might think meditation. And that is okay if the spiritual side of things doesn't catch you, or if there are hurdles in your way that you find insurmountable at the moment. There are other ways to go about that. All these ways include that you actually listen to someone who has done it, who has been successful in it. So find someone who actually has been there. And this, like you, Scott, I have got PTSD, and I didn't realize I had it. It was so beautifully concealed as a, hey, look how aware I am and how good I am in my job, because I pick up every single nuance around me. Yeah, right. Call it PTSD because I woke up at 3 on the dot, bang, and I had anxiety and everything. But I didn't realize that until about 2 years ago. And then I got help from a life coach who is a master of hypnosis. So, and she hypnotized me, helped me with the right questions, and then taught me self-hypnosis and relaxation exercises. So suddenly there is a bit more a different slant on things. What am I doing? I'm giving myself time to switch off. I'm giving myself time to connect with truly my deep inner self. Exactly the same mission here, to actually connect with yourself through a mildly different path. One is we just switch off and see what comes. The other one is you directly go straight deep into the brain and see what comes ultimately. Or you can have guided hypnosis where certain messages get filtered in. That's cool. So these are already two things. So you've got meditation, self-hypnosis, and there are a number of other things, but they are all techniques that are wonderful. As with everything in life, there are 9 billion people for a reason, i.e. if you're a man, there are 4.5 billion women. Not everyone will be right for you. There's Mrs. Right and a lot of Mrs. Wrongs. And it's the same with all these exercises. Try one, see what works. And if you think, what a bullshit, well, cool. Congratulations. You figured out what did not work. So fine, exactly. Choose something else. But the key is the same. How can you find yourself? That sounds maybe corny to you too. How can you connect with that person that is in the future, that you want to be? Of this alternate universe out there where you are truly happy. So how do you figure out who is that person? And how do you get there? And I mean, Scott, he has got a pretty good way. He starts you on the way. And that is exactly that. Find someone who has been where you want to go. And these are the right people. Okay, so that's we're very expert. But this is a survival skill here that both Scott and I are practicing. And I must say, he is further up the path than I am. So therefore, I'm taking mental notes here. Okay, and I need to, okay, how did he? That way. So, and that is the right way to go. Scott, I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. The question then, of course, I ask myself the question, where are you going? What are your visions? What are your dreams? What will happen in 6 months, 12 months, 5 years? What are your dreams? Any idea?
For me, yeah, I mean, my main goal right now is to help as many people as possible on the personal level, that self-connection. I have this self-connection cycle, I call it. It starts with consciousness. First of all, you need to be conscious that you want to improve, right? You want to connect to yourself. And if you're immersed in everything else, you're not conscious. You're not aware of yourself, right? And then there's the mindfulness techniques, the different, because I teach meditation, but I don't jump into meditation right away because it's difficult. It's difficult as hell, especially for anybody who has never done it before. And I don't like turning people off with meditation because it's a difficult practice to do if you've never done it before. Just to sit down and say, okay, close your eyes and concentrate on your breathing for 5 minutes. Of course not. People are so many people get frustrated and quit before they even learn how to start meditating. So mindfulness exercises, I call it the mental fitness to prepare you for meditation, right? So I help, that's where I'm helping people on the personal side. But to answer your question, where do I see myself in the future? I'm really passionate about the change of business culture that needs to happen around the world right now. I just read a study a couple of weeks ago where in 2016, World Health Organization, and I can't remember the other organization, that International Labor something, did a study for a few years and found 745,000 people dying a year by overworking or working more than 55 hours a week. And being old school, I wouldn't blink at 55 hours. You know, knock that out, no problem. But we're in a time shift now where we have intergenerational employees. Yeah. We have, I think about 50% now is millennials in the workforce globally, if I remember that study correctly, and Gen Z. And the rest is, everybody else, Gen X and everybody else. So you have like three different styles. And these younger kids coming into the workforce, they won't think twice about, oh, I'm being overworked. This is ridiculous. I'm out of here. Right. And companies are paying so much, they're losing millions of dollars in a year. Well, I think one study I saw about $1.5 million to replace 12 employees in 1 year. And that is the churn that's happening because companies are not taking wellness to the forefront in the workplace. Absolutely. The pandemic, everybody is working remotely. Not everybody, but a majority of people are working remotely. We had to learn how to work remotely if you never worked at home before. You got kids, you got everything else going on at home, and you've got the job, and you're working more hours even from home, and the employers are not actually taking that into account. So a lot more burnout is happening. So my mission now on the corporate side is I want to bring leadership transformation. I don't want to bring leadership development. You get that from somebody else. There's a lot of that out there. But I think leadership transformation is so important right now because a lot of companies have wellness programs. Yeah, they got a yoga teacher that comes online and teaches you how to stretch once a week or whatever. But hey, how many people are really utilizing that, right? I talk to a lot of my friends still in the corporate world, and they're like, oh yeah, we get these emails all the time. You know where they go? Delete. So I feel unless it comes from the actual leadership in the company, no one's going to take it serious. No one's really going to do it. So if leadership supports it by running the wellness, then your company is going to be much more fluid, much more productive, happier. You're going to not have the churn, the employee churn, and that cost that comes with it, or the cost of people being out sick. And yeah, that's where I'm going now, and that's what I'm focusing on in the future, is trying to change the corporate leadership mindset.
I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said, if I had 8 hours to fell a tree, I would spend 6 hours sharpening the saw. And I think that skill has gotten lost in, or maybe it was never learned, in virtually every single hospital I worked in, every single department I worked in. Whilst there was talk about wellness, it was certainly never encouraged like that, because it was always more important to roll with the punches, and other things became more important. And that is that is so true. That is true for physical exercise. That's true for good nutrition, for all that. We know in theory what we should do, but there is no setting, no circumstance where that is made possible in the workforce that I am employed in. So I've never seen anything. Then, like you say, when I go in the staff room, there's, oh yeah, this month wellness, and we do yoga. When? Oh, I don't know. It will be announced, kind of a thing. And it was, yeah, right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're right. You're so right to lead by example. And wow, you have got your work cut out. There's no two ways around that. What would you advise the person who has listened to you here today and thinks, well, it all sounds quite good, but I've got 3 kids at home. I'm single mom. I need to work. I need to kick ass, and money is barely stretching. And now you want me to, what, stop a week and smell the roses? You dreamer.
Good question, Stefan. Yeah, I know 10 days is not for everybody. Not everybody can do that. Luckily, I can do that myself. But what I tell people is take one day. If you can, ask for help. Ask for help with the kids. You know, if you're married, you know, have that communication with your spouse and say, look, I'll take them Saturday, you take them Sunday. All right. But let's give ourselves a day to disconnect from everything. And when I say disconnect, that doesn't mean, you know, okay, I'm not talking to everybody, but I'm going to be on the computer looking at Facebook and Instagram and being entertained. No, disconnect. Go somewhere where there's nobody. Go somewhere to nature. Go to a park, you know, the least amount of people as possible. And just try to disconnect and be mindful of everything around you. You know, and there's all these little practices that I try to help people with on this process, because you really need to, that's the most important thing, to make time for yourself. And don't feel like you have to be Superman or Superwoman. Ask for help. Ask for help. There's a reason why you have so many people around you that love and care for you, and you're not going to be weak by asking for help. And that's something that we have to get over, is don't feel weak. You don't have to put this stigma that I'm strong, I can handle everything going on. No, it's okay to ask for help. And this is something that I had to learn as well, because I was really buried. I didn't know my way out. How am I going to do this? And you just have to ask for help.
And that is the biggest skill you could possibly learn in your life, to jump over your shadow and say, wow, okay, I really could do better if I actually allow myself to listen to someone who has been successful in those things that I want to do. You would do that if you were to start a new business. Let's say you buy a restaurant for whatever reasons, and you want to have that restaurant prosper. You have no idea about restaurants. So what do? You learn from people who run restaurants, and you learn from those people who run them well. It's logic for you. And here you are in your own life. Yeah. And here you are in yourself. And no. I know it all better. Bullshit. You've got a big supercomputer up there between your ears, but no one has ever given you a manual. So now you're pressing on a few buttons and see what works. Oh, that feels good. What's that? Oh, vodka. Cool. We found one thing that feels good. And then you feel, oh, I got a shock there. What was that? Oh, chores. No, chores doesn't seem to be so nice. So, that's how we work. For Christ's sake. Right. So no, why not talk to someone like Scott, who is starting to figure out things and found a way that works for him and his clients. So, why not? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, exactly, Stefan. That's one thing in this day and age. We're so immersed in media, social media, and on TV. Nobody's posting their failures. Yeah. All you see is success everywhere you turn. So, but no, everybody's going through shit. Everybody's got their own shit show up here, dealing with something. Nobody's perfect. So there's something that we can always be improving ourselves on. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. Depends on what you want in your life. But exactly. You said it. Look for somebody that is going through what or has gone through what you're going through, or has knowledge in the area that you want to go, and take it. There's so much free information out there. I mean, I put free tips on my Instagram every day, just hoping to inspire people to know, okay, well, you know what? There's 365 days in a year. And there's going to be 365 tips out there that I'm going to put. Something's got to resonate with somebody. And even if I go through this little self-doubt sometimes, like, nobody's liking this, but I'll get a direct message from somebody. Oh, I really needed to hear that. You really told me what I needed to hear today, and thank you. And that's what keeps me going, doing this and posting these things out there for free. Just, it's that vibe.
And don't forget, we grow by putting ourselves out there and by actually taking the steps, taking action. It's again, you take action by going onto Instagram and exposing yourself. And there will be this little voice here, oh, no, what if they criticize you? What if they misunderstand you? What if? These little voices are, for fuck's sake. And you think, shut up. But.
Yeah, just the other day, I was having not a good mental day. I was not where I wanted to be. And I said, you know what, I'm going to share that. I'm going to put it out there. And you're exactly right. That little voice, yeah, but you're supposed to be helping people. You're supposed to be like a model, showing people that. But, I got so much response from that post where people thanked me saying, wow, I needed to hear that. I'm not the only one having these mental days where things are just not working or clicking. But I see everything's going to be okay. So yeah, it's funny.
And that makes us human, and that makes us those beautiful, perfectly imperfect pieces of chaos that we are, for crying out loud. And it is a big puzzle piece, and guess what? Someone actually stole a few pieces. Someone actually bent a few pieces and cut one off. And sometimes you think, what the hell? This is not my life. So you have to work around it, guys. You have to work around it. Okay, yes, there will be hurdles. There will be strange things happening. Welcome to my world. It is chaos. But let's make the best out of it. Okay, it doesn't smell like roses all the time, but you guys can do it. Look at Scott and me, 2 numbnuts. Honestly, I mean, come on, here, look at us. I agree. If we 2 can get our shit together, I think you've got a really fair chance. And that's all you can ask for. now that we have sort of planted that seed into your brains, guys, what are you going to do about it? This is now time for you to press the pause button. Maybe 5 minutes. And actually think, that was not bad, that interview. And just give yourself time and see what your brain comes up with. And your brain might come up with the question, this Scott is not a bad dude. Scott, how can they get hold of you? What are your contact details?
Yeah, I have a website. It's a bit challenged. I'm website building challenged. It's got the basics on there. It's scottjspheres.com. But most of my information is on Instagram these days. And my handle there is at time_life_self. And that's basically the name of the program. I help people on the personal level in that order, that time management, life organization, and self connection, basically. So that Instagram, I would say, is probably the best route to find me. And yeah, if anybody's interested, questions, what have you, take a look at the tips on there and contact me if you want.
That's brilliant. Guys, look down there into the description of the video and of the podcast. Scott's details are there. And whilst you're down there, press that subscribe button. It would be rude not to. Come on, guys. And if that has triggered you in a positive way to change things, there are so many beautiful resources out there. My show here, we've got now, this was the 175th something like that interview. So guys, there's a lot of material out there that's just waiting for you. And so with regards to Scott, you mentioned the depression. We've got a lot of interviews with people who have gone through that and came out the other end a different and better person. And so this is all about mental health. This is all about growth here on my channel. And that's so beautiful. And wonderful people like Scott are giving their time and their skills and their expertise here for free. Guys, what more do you want? It is. So let those seeds actually get in there and start growing them and see what comes out in your own life, and maybe feed back to us and see what comes out. Hey, Scott, I'm so grateful that you came onto my show. This was a fantastic brainstorming here. This was a lovely mindstorming, should we say, as you did. And because, it rattled my cage. You made me think. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. Because like you, a day where I don't learn something about myself is a very, very sad day. And therefore, today's a good day.
Excellent.
That's cool.
Yeah, don't be afraid of mental health, everybody. that is something that's swept under the rug most of the time, but it's a necessity for us to approach in our lives. And Stefan, your show, thank you for the work that you're doing with that and putting that out there, because it's a great resource, like you said. So thank you for your show, and thank you for having me today.
An absolute honor. And guys, it's okay not to be okay. And that is normal. Okay. So look after yourself, stay strong, and tune back in soon. Bye.